Hello everyone! If you enjoy this video, please leave a like and comment what type of content you would like to see next time. Also, only a small percentage of people that watch my videos are actually subscribed, so if you end up liking the video, consider subscribing. Check out the Patreon in the video description for some extra steamy content. Enjoy the video!
I had always wanted to be a ballerina growing up. They were so graceful and the outfits were amazing. I had been to a few ballets, but never took any classes or anything. Many of my friends had told me that I had the build to be a ballerina. I was fairly tall for my age and had a very skinny frame. I had soft skin and my face was very feminine. Growing up, I had been dressed up as a girl at quite a few sleepovers, but no one knew about my cross-dressing. I had built up a stash of women's clothes over the years and kept them in the trunk of my car. I lived in a shared space with some of my friends and was very paranoid about them finding my stash. I only cross-dressed in my room and once went on a drive wearing women's clothes. I never had the guts to go out dressed up. That was until Halloween a few years ago. Halloween was my favorite time of the year, and also one of the best times to cross-dress. Everyone was out wearing crazy outfits, so it was a lot easier to fit in. I ordered a ballerina costume that was scheduled to come on the day of Halloween. It was already the morning, so I was beginning to get a little nervous. I did some work to distract my mind, and then went for a walk. While I was on the walk, I got a notification that my package had been delivered. I sprinted back to my house and spotted the package on my doorstep. I quickly picked it up and brought it into my room. I opened it and took out the contents. There was a white leotard, a white tutu, and a pair of ballet shoes. I marveled at how pretty the costume was. I laid the clothes out on my bed and took a shower. After drying off, I put on the costume. The leotard was made of polyester and squeezed my body as I put it on. It was a nice fit. I looked at myself in the mirror and did a little twirl. Next, I put on the tutu. The tutu had lots of frills and felt nice in my hands. I stepped into it and pulled it up to my waist. It squeezed my hips tight. The frills felt amazing. I did another spin in the mirror. The outfit was very tight, and the only thing that moved was the tutu. The final piece was the ballet shoes. They were a tight fit and squeezed the toes at the end of my foot. They had strings that wrapped around my calves. I liked how they looked. It was going to start getting dark outside in an hour or so. I took off the tutu and put it in my backpack. I put on a hoodie and sweatshirt over the rest of my outfit. I kept the ballet shoes on and grabbed my backpack. I opened the door to my room and quickly walked out of my house. My roommates were in the living room, but didn't seem to notice me. I walked to my car and got inside. I drove about a mile away from my house and parked on the side of the road. My eyes scanned around and I didn't see anyone on the street. I pulled off my sweatpants first and put them in the passenger seat. I then took out the tutu from my backpack and put it on. I took another look around, then took off my hoodie. I thought I heard some footsteps and quickly accelerated down the street. I was in my full ballet costume and felt very nervous. I wanted to drive 30 or so minutes away from my house so I wouldn't run into anyone I knew. I exited the neighborhood and started making my way across town. I stopped at a red light and a car pulled up next to me. The car was a lot taller than mine, so they could see down into my vehicle. I glanced over and saw the driver looking at me. It was an older lady. I looked back to the front and felt her staring at me. The light turned green and I sped ahead. The rest of the drive was pretty uneventful. I felt myself getting nervous and had to turn up the air conditioning. By the time I arrived at my desired location, it was already a little dark outside. I had picked out a desolate parking lot to hide my car in. I drove to the corner of the lot and parked under some trees. I had brought some really old clothes to put over my costume that I didn't mind losing. I slipped on the hoodie and sweatpants. I got out of the car and locked it. I hid my keys under one of the tires so that I wouldn't have to carry them with me. I didn't think the ballerina costume would have any pockets. I made my way across the lot and headed into the park. The area of town that I was in had a lot of high-rise apartments. There were lots of young people walking around. A few were already dressed in Halloween costumes. Maybe they were going to parties. I walked for a little bit and came across a convenience store. I went inside and bought some water. On my way out, I was stopped by the security guard. He asked for my receipt. I showed it to him. He then asked if I was hiding anything in my pockets. I realized how much space the tutu was taking up in my sweatpants. The security guard probably thought I was hiding something in my sweatpants. I told him I didn't have anything. He asked me to wait and mumbled something into his walkie-talkie. I waited a minute or so. Suddenly, a thought came to my head. It was already dark outside, and I was practically ready to run around in my outfit. Why not just do it now? I quickly took off my hoodie and pulled down my sweatpants. The security guard's jaw dropped, and I quickly ran by him. I was on the street now and bolted down the sidewalk. There were a lot more people out than before. Luckily, it was pretty dark, so no one could see anyone else's face. I heard someone yell, "Is that a dude?" I smirked and kept running. I started breathing heavily and slowed my run to a fast walk. I brushed by some people and often caught people stopping and staring at me. I passed an older couple, and the old guy gave me a nasty look. I winked back at him and went on my way. It felt so freeing to wear the ballerina costume in public. I started skipping and did a few twirls as I moved along the sidewalk. A big group of guys my age was passing on the same side of the street as me. They looked to be a bunch of frat guys. I stepped out into the road and quickly walked by them. They all made eye contact with me. One of them said, "Nice ballerina costume, sir." A few of them giggled. Another dude said, "Was that a dare? No way you're dressed like that." I giggled and turned back to blow them a kiss. I turned a corner and they disappeared out of sight. I was getting more confident in my ballerina costume. No one seemed to care what I was wearing. I pranced around some more and started making my way back to my car. At this point, I had walked a few miles away from my car and was starting to get a little bit lost. As I was walking, I heard someone rapidly approach me from behind. I heard, "You can't be wearing that," and felt someone grab my tutu. In alarm, I started to run. I heard a loud pop and felt the tutu rip off of my body. The person had held onto it tight, and it broke when I tried to run. After the pop, I ran even faster. I heard footsteps behind me. I was pretty athletic for my age, so I was able to quickly outrun whoever was chasing me. I glanced back as I was running and saw that it was a bald white guy. He looked to be in his 40s. After I lost track of the guy, I jogged all the way back to my car. Just wearing the leotard was a much different feeling than wearing it with the tutu. I missed the tutu. I grabbed the keys to my car and got in. I drove back to my house and was about to get out when I realized something. All of my roommates were home. I didn't have any extra clothes to change in. I panicked. I couldn't go in just wearing a leotard. I turned back on my car and drove to the nearest Walmart. I walked in and bought a pair of shorts and a shirt. It was closing, so not many people were inside of the store. I used self-checkout so I didn't have to interact with anyone. I drove back to my house and put on the shorts and shirt. I got out of my car and went inside. I walked directly to my room and closed the door. That had been a fun Halloween. Wait till I tell you what I did at the Halloween after that.